Hello everyone, welcome to Daily Dose of Memes, where talking about people from Reddit almost killing someone is completely normal. Let me know what you think of this new video format down below in the comments. When I was 8 years old, one of my sisters was in a very bad relationship with an abusive boyfriend. Being a kid, I'm feeling virtually helpless because this guy's a million times bigger than me, and I was very underweight at my age. He never did anything in front of me outside of verbal abuse, but I'd seen marks on her and I knew. Kids aren't dumb, and they notice a lot. One day he started screaming at her that she hadn't cleaned the stove properly, grabbed her by the hair and slammed her face against the stove a couple times. Actually ended up ripping out a small chunk of her hair. I didn't even process in my head, but 8-year-old me launched across the living room, grabbed a knife and got to the kitchen. I kicked him in the balls as hard as I could. I was surprised how fast he fell, but I placed the knife against his throat. I told him to apologize to my sister or I would kill him, and I had absolutely meant it. Every fiber of my being wanted to do it despite him apologizing. It was such a half-assed apology, so I kept making a point of it. I remember asking him if he liked having his life in the hands of a child. I wanted him to feel as worthless as I'm sure he made her feel. He finally gave a real apology, and I dug the knife in a little before letting him off and telling him to leave. I had hoped it would give him a small scar, but it never did. Okay, the truth on this one seems a little stretched. I mean, 8 years old, lunging across a living room, grabbing a knife, and holding a full-grown man pretty much hostage while making him apologize to your sister. If it happened, God, what a tough little kid. And it's messed up because at the end, he says, I hoped it would give him a small scar, but it never did. Meaning that the guy came back around after all of this, because he knows that it never left a scar. How did the relationship go after that? Like, did he keep beating the sister's ass? Did he ever go for revenge on this little 8-year-old kid? Like, that's just crazy to me. I don't know. I was throwing a rock for fun, and it hit a kid in the head, and he started bleeding. I ran as fast as I could away. Wow, this could be technically attempted murder and then fleeing the scene. Wow, this guy's pretty shitty. I was on a date with someone a few years ago, and my dumb 17-year-old self had bought this bee venom lip plumper that actually had active bee venom in it. I made out with the guy, and it turns out he was pretty allergic to bees. Had an allergic reaction. Thank God he had his EpiPen. I apologized profusely because I didn't even know he was allergic, and I guess I really should have considered the possibility. But he acted as if I was some evil seductress assassin that was sent to kill him with my kisses. Never got another date. Okay, girl, okay, so you almost killed the guy and you seem surprised that there was no other date. Like, okay, you throw me into pretty much an allergic shock and, I almost lose my life. But yeah, let's hook up at Denny's next weekend. Let's try this again. Nah, girl, chill. I nearly killed myself on accident. I was working 18 to 20-hour days and pushing for a deadline. I was downing Mountain Dew and on the worst days, taking caffeine pills too. I'd only take 1 pill a day max, usually to try and finish out those last few hours. I remember standing near the fridge, wondering if I'd already taken one or not, and deciding, screw it. My brain will be clear if I had, right? Apparently, wrong. I considered taking 2 for the first time ever, but instead took 1. Thank goodness I only took 1 because I had already taken 1. Even though neither pill had an impact on my exhaustion level, I quickly became anxious. My heart felt like it was pounding out of my chest and would sort of stutter. My vision got wonky and I felt very hot, then very cold. I called my sister crying, paranoid that I was going to die, and she stayed on the phone with me. I ended up calling poison control when I started vomiting 3 hours in. I asked him if I was going to die. The poison control guy said I wouldn't die as long as I didn't consume more and stayed hydrated. At the end of the call, he talked about caffeine overdose being a common problem among teens. Asked if I'd like him to call my parents. Then I had to admit to being 26 years old. He thought I was lying for a moment, and I remember saying, no, I'm really 26. Just an idiot. The terrible trip lasted another 2 hours or so. The only side effect the next day was greater than normal thirstiness. That's pretty insane. To think caffeine pills could throw you off like that, honestly. I mean, this guy was having heart palpitations off of this. Plus he was downing Mountain Dew. He's lucky he's alive. I was about 18 years old at the time, and I was driving home from work on an 8-lane boulevard. This was before cell phones. I had gotten off early, so traffic was about 10 minutes behind me. This boulevard literally went from empty to racetrack in about 15 minutes, from 4:55 to 5:10 p.m. on weekdays. A tall, broad man was walking across the road from the right. I was in the furthest left lane before the turn lane. He was in the third lane, and it was not at a light. Because I could see that the 5 p.m. traffic was about 2 intersections behind me, I stopped to let him across the last lane. He impatiently waved me on, as if to walk behind my car. I started to accelerate and heard a huge thump. I saw him laying in the road behind me. Traffic now 1 intersection away, about 1/10 of a mile. I pulled into the left turn lane and ran out to the man. He was conscious but disoriented. I dragged him, helped him back to the median, and someone from the offices nearby had called 911. The paramedics came and said he was okay, gave my statements and went home. There was a dent in the roof of my car above the passenger side door, the size of this guy's enormous head. I was found not responsible, but he still managed to get $14,000 from my insurance. I get pretty nervous around pedestrians now, LOL. But did he get home before the traffic hit? These are the questions I want answered. When I threw a javelin and someone ran across the field, that's it? That's all he tells us? What happened? I'd been homeless for about 3 years, living in a park in Studio City, when a gang of other homeless set up shop about 50 feet from where, every night, I would set up my tent. And every morning I would take it down as I spent my days on my computer at Starbucks. The gang immediately began production of some kind of drug in vats and dismembering bikes. Literally, 100 of them, all clearly stolen. I don't do drugs myself, or alcohol, so after about a month of consistent late-night partying, screaming, and whatnot, being tired of moving locations with idiots like this and having endured several confrontations with them, the Parks and Recreation Services came and cleared out their campsite. For 2 nights, I got great sleep, until I returned the 3rd night. One of the dudes who'd gotten physically confrontational with me in the past had returned and had intentionally taken my spot and had taken my hidden blankets and mattress. So as I politely asked him and his girlfriend to leave, to which he responded loudly, "Get the fuck out of here, you OG narc." He was clearly blaming me for dismantling his camp, and this was his revenge. Standing my ground and remaining calm, I insisted he leave. As a homeless guy, we're not territorial in general. But when we've gathered things to make ourselves comfortable and another homeless dude takes them, it becomes a problem. He didn't like me not leaving, so that's when he got up, got right in my face, and said, "I have a knife, and if you don't get the fuck out of here, I'm gonna kill you." So what went through my head was this: if he gets that knife out, it will get jammed in his throat. I'll claim self-defense and dispose of his body in the dumpster. Having calculated this mentally, I responded calmly, "Let's see it." He looked at me confused. "I said I have a knife, and I'm gonna slit your throat." I maintained eye contact, waiting for his move, as he said, "I'm gonna kill you. Did you hear me, you stupid I have a knife." His girlfriend spoke up and said, "Let's go, Eduardo." I maintained eye contact, looking down at this diminutive 5'3" dude, I'm 6'2", and said, "Show it to me." His girlfriend got up and tugged at his arm, to which he walks away from me, picked up his stuff, and leaves, cussing me out the entire time. And yes, with the sustained lack of sleep and then this, I had gotten tired of moving because of ignorant like this and was done. And had he simply shown me the knife, I knew instantly what I would do. I think he did too. Now mind you, I've never been in a fight in my life, and while I'm a big dude and have served in the military, that was a situation I was confronted with in a similar form regularly, that I just finally had enough and was ready to send a very strong message to the universe that I deserved better than the shit it was giving me. I'm no longer homeless, thankfully. Wow. That's a lot. I couldn't even imagine being homeless, let alone having to deal with shit like that. Other homeless people harassing you, bothering you, and stealing your mattress and bed, and trying to fight you and threatening to stab you. Like, you're already homeless. Why do you want to bring more strife into this life? Like, just chill, bro. When I was about 10 years old, I found this cool-looking rock, probably weighed 25 pounds. I picked it up and tossed it up to see how it would look when it hit the pavement. It went behind me and landed on a 6-year-old's head and knocked him out. He's fine now, years later, but I still remember thinking I killed someone, and I can remember hearing him scream in pain as his parents got him. I never got caught because my 10-year-old self literally ran to get an adult and told them he did it to himself. Okay, so first off, what's up with all these stories about people throwing rocks and hitting people? Was this a popular thing when we were kids? I mean, I don't remember being that kind of violently mischievous, you know what I mean? And secondly, this is another one of those stories that actually has more to it if you pay attention. Like, in this story, he says he's fine now, years later. So who was this kid to him, where you still know him, years later? This wasn't some random kid, obviously. So was this a sibling, a cousin, a close friend, a neighbor? You can't just slip that in there and expect no one to inquire.
Creepy Nerve says, YouTube, you are at least 13, right? Me, a 12-year-old, yes. YouTube, go ahead, sir. YouTube's mom, I told you not to trust strangers. Power Puncher says, nice try on Ausfahrt, now try this. Rundfleischkettiketiering Sauberwalkungsaufgaben Übertragungsgesetz.
Thanks a lot for finishing the whole video. If you liked it, please leave a like on the video because it helps me grow this channel a lot. Also, to be featured in the next video, write your comment with hashtag #DailyDoseOfMemes. Have a good one.